Okay, guys, so this week we are going to be creating some different projects for mom because it is Mother's Day. So I'm going to have some different options for you. You don't have to do them all. I have this nice big paper flower. You can make it into a card. You can make it into like a little brooch. I don't know. You might put it on your gift. Super cute. You could give it to mom. Maybe make a little tag that goes with it. But what the main one we're going to talk about is we're going to make some paper flowers. Okay, so you have some different flower options for you. You have this nice big fluffy one with some color. This one is more one that you might want to do on your own. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to show you how to do this one, but I can show you some basics of it. A nice lily. These are really pretty. You can do these with any kind of color. Oh, and I lost a little piece of my flower, but very cool. So we have all that. I'll stick him back in there. And I'm going to show you how to do these things. And I also, if you don't want to do the flowers, but you maybe want to do a container for mom, I'm going to show you, or grandma, or whoever you want to give this to. But I'm going to show you how to make this container out of just a glass jar and some coffee filters. So what we're going to do today is we're not going to be, or this during this video, is we're not going to be making the actual flowers. What we're going to do is be dyeing our paper to create these flowers, which is a really fun technique. So what we use to make these is actually coffee filters. Your basic, your mom and dad might know what these are. Coffee filters. I got these when I ran to the dollar store for some stuff, and they were like $1 for a huge pack of them. So if you don't have them because your parents don't drink coffee, or maybe they drink Keurigs, you can look at this, or you can get these pretty easily at the grocery store or the dollar store. Maybe somebody can pick them up for you. So the first technique that we are going to do is pretty basic, and I made this out of paper plates. So just these basic ones, but you can actually do a little dyeing of them when you're doing this part. So if you have these kind of paper plates, just take one. I like to, if you don't have paper plates, I like to put a piece of paper or something under this coffee filter for this next part, because you do not want to get coffee not coffee, sorry. You don't want to get marker, which is what we're going to be using. Just regular basic markers, any kind you have. You don't want super permanent ones. The washable ones are nice for what our technique is. But you just want to put something under it because it does go through. So what you're going to do is put marker on this paper, and then we're going to be adding water so it will mix the colors together. What you want to think about is that color wheel. You guys remember talking about the color wheel over and over in my classroom, okay? What are those primary colors? Red. All right. And then I just kind of scribble on here. Yellow's another primary color. And you can do any color setup you want. You do not have to do the same as me. You don't have to do the rainbow. You don't have to make it look a certain way. But if you have colors that mix next to each other on here, you're going to get a better result. So we'll go back to our blue is our other primary colors. Now, I probably could have these mixed. You know what? Let's do it. So the more actual marker you put on, the more intense or saturated your color might be, because it is, just has more dye on it. But if you don't have a lot on it, it will still work. Okay, so I'm putting some blues and the reds close together because we're going to get a little mix in there. I would say maybe pink might be a better mix with that blue. Yeah, I'll do a little in there. And then your yellow and blue. Okay, now here is the fun part. So you can draw a picture on here. You're going to lose it for this next part. But you can do all different shades of blue if you want it, all purples. It's whatever color you want your flowers to be. So now you see I have it all markered off. Now I could have done like a spiral pattern or lines or anything I wanted, but I wanted to show you this. So now I'm going to just take water while it's on the plate. You want to leave it on there because it gets pretty messy. And I spray it. And I sprayed it pretty good until I start seeing these colors kind of start blending into one another. I can kind of move it around. Now, I would not pick this up at this time. Oh, but look, you're getting some greens in there. You can kind of pick it up and move it, but I wouldn't actually touch the coffee filter because it will dye your hands. But what you do, set this aside. It is not going to dry for a while. If you set it out in the sun, you have to put something on top of it in case it's windy. You might get it to dry a little faster, but I did these one day and then made my flowers the next day. So you can, once they dry, I don't think I have a rainbow one, but you know, you can see some different ways that it'll come out. Like these might be different dyes, but they will dry and they will have your color in them. So they turn out really cool. Now I made a rainbow one and then I cut it up to make my little pieces that I'm going to be putting on my vase. Okay, so you can do colors if you want, or that are all a certain color to make your vase maybe all turquoise colors or all purples, or maybe you want that rainbow effect and you want it to be just kind of random like mine was. Okay, so that's how you do it with marker. Now here's a really fun way to do it, and I kind of enjoyed this. You get some intense colors. So I just took a Tupperware and I barely filled it with water. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a stack of your coffee filters. Now it doesn't matter how big the stack is. It can be thicker than this. It can be however. And you can actually take food coloring to dye your stuff, which I find to be pretty fun. So I'm going to do, you know what, let's do one that's going to show you a little more intensity. Okay, I put it in really shallow because you really don't need very much water. I probably could do even less than this, but I put in some dye, food coloring. Now you can also use paint and kind of just stir it around. It kind of has the same effect. If you have watercolor, you just kind of put a lot in there. If you have regular paint, put a little in there and dilute it. Like any kind of craft paint would probably work. I figure a lot of people have food coloring, so you can do this. And you can even do color mixing from here. Like I could add yellow to this red after I'm done with this one and make orange ones. Or maybe I start with yellow, make a yellow one, make an orange one, then add red. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to set it in this part. Okay, and this is pretty cool. We're going to get in a little closer for it. So put it on, put it in there, and you'll notice it's immediately taking the color. And it'll go all the way up, depending on how much water. Now, if I wanted it to stay white in there, in the middle, I could. Or I can let it come all the way in. And it starts to kind of fade. I'm actually going to leave mine a little white in the center because I think that'd be cool. So I'm going to take it out and again put it on this plate. Now you can wait till the color goes to the center. I'm leaving mine a little white for this one. But that saturates all of this color at once. Instead of, I stacked this one with about 3 so that I could do it, but you don't want to do too many because then you start losing your color, okay? Now, here's a fun little tip. If you want to have these, have those kind of fun markings, I have this. Once this dries, what my plate looks like is it takes on that dye color. So it kind of gets you 2 steps done at once, okay? So you have your dyeing of your different coffee filters. I would say for the actual jar, you need about 4, but it depends on how you want to do your color. You might need more because you want to do more ombre effect or whatever. I added a little ribbon. You don't have to do that. And for these, the fuller you want these flowers, the more coffee filters you're going to use. So this one was maybe about 5. This one might have been like, 8 or 10. It was a lot of them, okay? And this little blue one's maybe like 4. So you're going to need some coffee filters. Like I said, you get like 200 in a pack. So you can kind of experiment with your colors and some different things like that, okay? So I want you to think about that for your lilies. The coloring of the of the paper. If you have construction paper that's a color, that's great. Maybe you have some different types of like that scrapbooking paper that has the different patterns on it. If you have watercolor and you have some paper, maybe a little thicker stock, you can do a quick wet on wet technique, which let me adjust that. Okay, I just spray this with water, and we've done this in class with some of the older kids, and I think some of the other ones have done it too. But I just wet my paper, and then I color it the colors I want. So if I wanted a pink, and you see how that's kind of, I can get those nice light colors. Now you can do both sides. I waited for one to dry, and then just put a light coat on the other side so that it, it was pretty. It doesn't have to be dark. These lilies don't have to be super saturated with color. Okay, again, keep in mind what mixed together. Ooh, I had a little green in that yellow, but no mistakes, only happy accidents, right? So now I have my color. I can spray if I want to a little bit more. And you can even move it around and make it kind of have a really pretty effect. This is kind of fun with watercolor. Then let it dry, and you can cut this out, and I'll show you that in the next step. Okay, so those were your dyeing techniques. If you want to dye any coffee filters, these are the things you can do. If you come up with something really interesting, let me know. You could even put watercolor on your coffee filters. So be creative, and I'll show you the next part in the next video. Have fun.